So I'm trying to help everybody appreciate the geopolitical moment that we're in and the gravity of that geopolitical moment.
Hmm.
And um, as a lot of people can see, but not everybody's quite awake to yet, we are at the end of the line as a country. And I don't mean to like bum everybody out when I say that. I'm just trying to be realistic here. And so if you look at our financial system, we have these banks starting to collapse here, right? The Fed with their whiplash rate raising, as has happened in the past, they're going to cause a lot of banks to fail.
Hmm.
And, the first bank that failed, Silicon Valley Bank, the Fed, the FDIC, the people that are supposed to be insuring, backing that up, don't even have enough money to make those people whole.
Wow.
So this is going to be a giant disaster for us. They're going to resort to money printing. And it's really bad timing for that because, as a lot of people can see, many countries are starting to move away from the dollar. They don't like what we've been doing in Ukraine. And in the past, we have traditionally shook everybody down into like doing their international trade, selling, buying their oil in dollars. And if anybody tried to step out of line, the CIA would go, overthrow their government, do some crazy stuff, kill people. And at the moment, so many people are deciding that they're getting away from the dollar that we can't get everybody right. They're kind of deciding, let's all do this at once, and nothing has galvanized their resolve to do that more than this war in Ukraine situation. And the reason that's a problem is because if you think about our currency, it's based on nothing, right? It's kind of like cryptocurrency in the sense that the value is very arbitrary, and that the more people that use it, just like in the same way that when more people started using Bitcoin, the value went up. We have that same kind of thing going on with the dollar. And so after World War II, we were the winners, we were the big dogs on the block, and we shook everybody down around the world into using the dollar as their reserve currency. And what that means is that they buy all of their oil and all of their major goods and they sell it in dollars. So everybody converts to dollars to do that. So this artificially boosts the circulation of our money. And it's the reason that when our government just prints, these mountains and mountains of cash here, trillions of dollars out of control
Hmm.
completely, that we don't have this runaway inflation kind of Weimar Germany or Zimbabwe style. But as these other countries move away from the dollar, that will destroy our ability to just print money unlimited
Hmm.
without feeling the consequences of that.
Wow.
So
Wow. I mean, is part of this intentional? Because I mean, it seems like a no-brainer that you print all this money and you're just belligerent with your financial system that it's going to ultimately lead to a collapse of some kind.
Yep. So this collapse has been predicted for a while, and if you look at our government, um, they know that this country is essentially like a dead country walking. So
Wow.
a lot of them are they're just trying to milk as much corruption out of this dead carcass as they can before shit really hits the fan. And in the past, how they've dealt with that, and one of the things we talk about on Q and Tel Pro and throughout some of our stuff is in the past when empires are reaching their end, they make these moves where they try to intentionally pop off a world war because the world war is the only way that they could possibly zero out their debt and reset the financial system without collapsing. So they are actively trying to do this right now. Uh, they say that we're supporting Ukraine to fight against Russia, but really we're sending armies of private mercenaries. We're sending tons of weapons. So in reality, we are actually at war with Russia, and we are barreling towards World War III here, right? With all this RussiaGate stuff, with all this hatred towards Russia spun up, we have really pushed Russia into bed with China, right? They are much closer allies now than they ever have been in history.
Hmm.
And they both have areas that they would like to take that the United States does not approve of. So we got ourselves in a situation here where Russia has not been throwing their full effort after Ukraine as of yet. And they have been building up now, and they're about to start this spring offensive here that's really going to ramp things up and really going to make things on a hair trigger here.
Wow.
And it wouldn't be as much of a problem if we didn't have leaders who were going to intentionally try to escalate and try to pop things off here to save themselves financially. But I am here to tell you, unfortunately, that is the case. And if you look at World War I, same kind of thing happened, right? They wanted to reset the board, they wanted to shuffle some countries around, and so they set up this war, reset the financial system, the world order after. They created this thing called the League of Nations. And the way they did it was a little too heavy handed. And so they ended up doing another world war.
Mhm.
And one of the things we talk about is Germany was destroyed after World War One. They had all these crazy terms of their surrender there. And there's no way that they could have built themselves up into this industrial powerhouse and been, had way better weapons, been way ahead of everybody without some malicious oligarchs and intelligence agencies putting their fingers on the scale there. And if you look at detailed histories of FDR, even stuff that's not conspiracy stuff, that stuff that's hard set history, it would appear, it would be showing that they were building up for a war and essentially like expecting that to pop off, despite the fact that that was nowhere near our shores.
Mhm.
And you'll see that they ignored intelligence about Pearl Harbor and that they kind of allowed this thing to go off because once it did, we were in a position to win it. And we were able to reset the world order afterwards with things like the UN, with things like the World Bank, with things like the IMF, and essentially restructure the economic world order because economics is what a lot of these wars are about, and you control the economic resources, you control the board.
Wow.
So they are barreling us towards this, and it's a big problem because a lot of our dinosaur leaders, they are still operating in a psychological paradigm here of 40 years ago, where China's just a paper tiger. They have no ability to threaten us. Russia, we're going to beat them, and we're going to ramp things up, and we're going to force themselves to spend themselves in oblivion. Uh, but this time, they're playing with fire, and it's not going to work out like they say it is this time, and they're being very stupid.